Hello and welcome back to the Bethany Sports Beat here on BLCVikings.com. I'm Don Westfall, Director of Athletics at Bethany, and we are joined to close out the men's basketball season here. We have Greg Holzhueter, head coach for the men's team at Bethany. Team just got done about a week and a half ago with the season. Obviously didn't conclude the way you wanted to, and as you sit and look back on the season, I guess for you as a coach, coming in a very young team, we talked with you earlier in the season, and obviously at times that youth kind of played a little bit above itself, and at times the youth was kind of evident. But as you look back, what were, I guess, some of the kind of more consistent themes that you saw develop as the season progressed for your club?
Well, consistency was probably the toughest thing to get out of this group of men, and I think it's probably because of the youth of our team. But we had some individual players that scored for us pretty well in conference, so we had some consistency there, and had a couple guys that really worked hard on the defensive end and rebounded well for us throughout the year. So as a unit, it was very much kind of see who plays well in a certain game and give those individuals the opportunity to play more throughout the course of the game. So we kind of had to adjust on the fly as a coaching staff to put guys in a position to be successful, but it was a fun group to work with nonetheless.
All right. One spot out of the conference tournament in a fifth-place tie with MLC. As you look at individual games, I think obviously the losing streak kind of in the – I don't want to necessarily dwell on negatives, but we'll talk about it because we get things from both sides of the perspective. You know, the losing streak kind of middle of the season, the fact that at home, probably another thing only with the 2 wins against the 5 losses in the conference games at home, were probably a couple of things that stood out right away that – moving forward, those are things that a team needs to address, do they not?
Yeah. I think it was a 7-game losing streak that we went on after starting 3-1 in the conference. So yeah, that's something that if you have the goal year after year of making the conference tournament, you can't get into skids like that. And so we got to be better as a coaching staff and as a whole program, and figuring out during a losing streak like that what we need to do to get a win, basically. And yeah, at home we want to be able to perform for our fans. And one example, Morris comes into our place, a team that was top 2 in the conference, and we were down 17-0 to start the game, and we had a good crowd that night. So it's frustrating because you want your fans to come back the next night because of the way they saw you play. And so that's a lesson we got to learn. We got to make sure our home crowd sees a positive product on the court, so they want to come back in the future.
And you mentioned Morris because later in the season, you actually went on the road in their place in a big game for Morris, and you knocked them off. So it's not like the elements weren't there. It's just a matter of kind of bringing everything and gelling it together.
Yeah, definitely. That game at Morris, even at their place, we hit shots in the first half, and then we kind of executed our game plan really well, which was to slow the game down and pack it in the zone, and basically just roll the dice that they weren't going to be hitting threes that day, and they weren't, and that's how we got out of there with the win. But I was really proud of our guys for going in. I think they were 8-3 or 9-3 at that point in the season, and we were sitting with 4 wins to get that win. Was pretty fun.
Looking at some of the postseason honors that just came out as we're doing the taping today, a guy who consistently plays above his height, plays in the middle. Nick Sanborn, at times what he's able to pull off, giving up a lot of inches at times on the floor out there and even some weight to some of the guys. He's a pretty talented, a very hard-nosed player, and certainly the heart of your team.
Yeah, he is. I mean, the last 2 years, he's been a very consistent performer for us on the block. Once he gets it there, he's pretty tough to stop. He does 1 or 2 moves pretty consistently, but he's just so good at them and gets position and knows how to use his body. So he's able to score still, even when teams know exactly what he's going to be doing when he gets it. So yeah, I'm really proud of Nick's offensive performance this year and what he did for us on that end.
All right, and so Nick Sanborn, one of 3 Vikings to get some postseason honors. Also a couple of freshmen that we had talked about, the youth of the team, but coming up, I know it looks Brady Rose was on the all-defensive team, and also some honorable mention honors going to Neil Eichten.
Yeah, Brady's just a guy that you know exactly what you're going to get every time he steps onto the floor, because he's gonna hustle at all times. He's going to be on the floor for loose balls. He's going to take the challenge of guarding another team's best offensive player and take that challenge with pride. He's gonna rebound and take good shots. So he's a guy that really did his job and embraced his role this year, and was deserving of an all-defensive selection. And then Neil, as a freshman, had to take on a heavy scoring load because that was one area of our team that we lacked this year, was just overall scoring. Did a good job, and especially in our conference games, there were a few times where without his ability to create shots and get us buckets, we would have had a lot of trouble scoring.
All right, so again, Greg Holzhueter concluding the season here. A lot of youth on the team, but obviously everything looks bright for the Vikings moving forward with the strong recruiting class coming in, correct?
Yeah, we're still in the process, so you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. But we got a good group of guys right now that said that they want to come to Bethany and play next year, and still working on a few more. And I think the second full recruiting class, this group of guys that we're going to bring in next year, I think they're going to help us take steps forward as a program.
All right, very good. That's Greg Holzhueter, again, men's basketball coach here at Bethany. I'm Don Westfall, the athletic director for the Bethany Lutheran College Vikings, and we thank you for watching us here on the Bethany Sports Beat.